Okay, I'm going to go over a couple of problems in the book. This one happens to be problem number 8 on page 11 for section 1.1. And these problems will be similar to the ones that are on your mastery assignment as well as your project that you will get next week. So the first question says, what is the average miles per gallon for all new cars? Using Consumer Reports, a random sample of 35 new cars gave an average of 21.1 miles per gallon. The questions are A. Identify the variable. B. Is the variable quantitative or qualitative? And C. What is the implied population? Before we can answer these questions, let's review what these definitions mean. So I'm going to review a few things from the PowerPoint slides and the book. In statistics, you're going to deal with individuals and variables. Individuals are people, animals, or objects that are included in the study. A variable will be a characteristic of that individual, again, whether it's a person or an animal or an object, that will be measured or observed. Within the definition of variable, you're going to have either quantitative or qualitative variables. Quantitative variables have a value or a numerical measurement for which operations will make sense, such as using addition, averaging, multiplication, and so forth. Qualitative variables will just describe the individual by placing that individual into a category or group. And that's the difference between the two of those. Now let's talk about population and sample, just so that we make sure we understand every aspect of it. In population data, the data are from every individual of interest within the population. That would be all of the individuals in a population. Sample data is the data that are from only some of the individuals of interest. It's actually a sampling of the actual true population that we're referring to. Okay, so now let's go back to the question and let's answer those questions. We're going to identify the variable. This is the characteristic that is being measured or observed. We are observing miles per gallon, so that would be the variable. Is the variable quantitative or qualitative? First of all, we are not placing miles per gallon into a category or group, and obviously miles per gallon does reflect a numerical value or a measurement, so the answer is quantitative. Now, what is the implied population? Well, the implied population would be all the new cars in the United States that we're calculating the average miles per gallon. Okay, so that was problem number 8. So now let's go and look at problem number 12. Problem number 12 is also found on page 11, and it is concerned about levels of measurement. Categorize these measurements associated with a robotics company according to the levels nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio. And there's the list A through F. So let's go over the definitions for nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio before we make our determination. A nominal level of measurement applies to data that consists of names, labels, or categories. So there's no implied criteria by which the data can be ordered from smallest to largest. A good example of nominal level of measurement would be something like determining the difference in GPAs between female and male students. So you would take all the females and maybe give them a code of 1, take all the males and give them a code of 2, and then you would have that all coded. So the gender in the study itself is an example of nominal level of measurement. Ordinal level of measurement applies to data that can be arranged in order. However, differences between data values either cannot be determined or they are meaningless. A good example, this is just ranking order, so you could think of like the results of a marathon race, first, second, third, fourth, finish line, that kind of thing. That would be ordinal. The interval level of measurement applies to data that can be arranged in order. As well, the differences between data values are going to be meaningful. And 0 does not necessarily mean that there is no data. So that's one way of being able to determine whether something is an interval level of measurement. A good example of interval data is temperature. For example, 30 degrees Celsius is twice as hot as 15 degrees. 0 degrees doesn't mean that there's no temperature, it just means it's very, very cold. As well, negative values can also be used with interval data, such as negative 30, like 30 degrees below 0. That's extremely cold. Let's go to the ratio level of measurement, which applies to data that can be arranged in order, and both differences between data values and ratios of data values are meaningful. Data at the ratio level will have a true 0. And that's my way of being able to tell if it's a ratio level of measurement. For example, using body weight in first grade students, the body weight is continuous ratio data. Another way, 200 pounds. It's twice as heavy as 100 pounds. However, 0 pounds would mean that the person does not exist. So that's kind of a way to determine whether something is a ratio level of measurement. Now, let's go back to the problem and answer all those questions. Salesperson's performance: below average, average, above average. Based on our definition, this is an order. So this is ordinal. The price of company stock is ratio. And the way to follow that thinking is to put a 0 in there. If a company's price of stock is $0 and the company doesn't have any stock, so there's no value there, so it doesn't exist. Names of new products: nominal, it's just a list. Names of new products is a list, so it's nominal. Temperature, this one in degrees of Fahrenheit in a CEO's private office. Interval, we went over the definition of interval, and the example that was given was temperature, so that is the answer to this one. E, gross income for each of the past 5 years. Again, ratio. And F, color of product packaging. Nominal. It's just listing or labeling the color of packaging. That's the answer to that one, nominal. Okay, that's it for these two problems, and let's go on to the next ones, but I just wanted to go over those two problems with you and hope that this helped you. Thank you.